Okay guys, so I thought I'd do this video today because I'm sure quite a few people can benefit from this. Now, I'm just going to assume that a lot of you probably haven't seen my channel before, so I'll just introduce you to Minnie. She hatched out with an eyelid that turned inwards. I don't know how common this is amongst leopard geckos, but she did. The rest of the batch, her siblings, didn't have it. The previous year's batch didn't have it because Gizmo is from that, so she's just got a little mutation. Now, because of this, sometimes her eye is slightly off point, so when leopard geckos hunt, they have two eyes, they point towards their prey, they're focused and they go for it, whereas one of hers can be a little bit off. So, we have developed, or shall I say I, have developed a little technique to help her catch her prey, and it seems to work perfectly. So if you have a leopard gecko with an eye problem, maybe enigma syndrome, something like that, you may be able to do this as well. A quick tip to anyone who has a gecko's eye that's blocked up by unshedded skin and stuff, use saline, like the saline you get for contact lenses, because you can put water in it, but if you put water in your eye, obviously our tap water can have like chlorine in it and stuff, so that can actually be kind of painful, and I find that saline that's designed to be soft and nice on our eyes, and it seems to work well enough on my leopard geckos, and it keeps their eyes open as well, so I will use that with Minnie. Now, the thing I recommend getting, and this is optional but this is what I always use, is this rubber wedge. I have these for all of my geckos because these actually wedge the doors so they're completely sort of locked. They're pretty cheap, you can usually get them in bulk on eBay. So yeah, I use this. I used to use the back end of a spoon, like a plastic spoon. The only problem with that and the only problem with tweezers, you can use them, but I find when your gecko goes to bite them, they can also bite onto the tweezers or the spoon and it may hurt their teeth a bit. I have had geckos, mainly Minnie, sometimes bite onto this, but it's soft and I don't think it hurts their teeth as much. So this is just what I use, and also it's a bigger target for them to aim for. So I've got some crickets here for her. Right, so the first thing I do with Minnie is I take out this hide. This is her warm hide. I just take that out. Now, eco-earth isn't a problem for pretty much all my geckos besides Minnie. She's quite clumsy at hunting because of her eye, so I obviously have slate in here, so I try to put her food on the slate because that's the easiest, less likely to take in a load of eco-earth. Another thing I do is I don't add all the crickets at once. I find with a gecko who has eye problems, this is way too overwhelming. They try to aim for everything, they may even catch 1 out of like 5 or 8 crickets, and then they just get all stressed out and I can't be bothered. So I do one at a time, so let's do this and I'll show you what I do. Now, there's a video I did about how to put a cricket in a trance. If you want to do that, I'll put a link to that. It really helps a situation like this, so I'm just going to do that. And I get my wedge, and by now she's associated this with food. Most of the time she'll go after this more if we just see her reaction to this. See? See? Okay, she went for it. Okay, so we're going to get her to come over here. Because what she thinks is, okay, there's that big white thing, and every time I go to aim for it, I get food. So this is what she sometimes does. Oh dear. Okay, she got the cricket without my help. Well, this is making my trick look pretty foolish. Yeah, sometimes she'll surprise you and she'll just hunt like that. Anyone who might have a gecko with enigma syndrome or something might have the same situation. So, yeah. Let's see. She doesn't usually eat here. I usually feed her here, but as the camera is a bit of a weird angle, I can't feed her. So what I'm going to do is just move back some of this eco-earth. She might go for my hand. Right, let's move that back because she's better at... Right, so we get our rubber wedge. We put it here. You know they're going to hunt because you'll notice near their neck, obviously their breathing increases and they get excited. And then they focus and they pounce a bit like a cat. Oh, you got a bit of eco-earth there. So I usually give my geckos about 8 crickets per feeding, so you know it can take a little while when I'm sat here. Obviously some days Minnie will have bad days and this won't be as successful as today. So if you can't do the trance like I'm doing, so right now you've got a cricket moving, you can always put this wedging just on their head. It seems mean, but they're going to get eaten in the end, so we just do that, just on its head. Oh. You want to move it a little bit, because this is why I don't like things like, you know, the already dried crickets and stuff, because that stuff doesn't move, and I find that instinctively leopard geckos like to catch stuff that is moving. Another way you can do it is hand feeding, but I don't always do it with Minnie because she's kind of bad at aiming, so she'll probably get my hand. And I don't always like hand feeding because I think they can get very reliant on you. It's okay doing it on the odd occasion. Let's try with... There you go. Sorry, little cricket. Do it on the odd occasion, but don't do it constantly because they can get very lazy and they don't want to run after their crickets. In this kind of situation, you gotta help out. Otherwise, you know, like if this was in the wild, she would not survive. But there you go. Yeah, there was a few years ago where I got really upset because I was actually, it seemed to be deteriorating a lot of time. It was very hard to feed her, and that's how I started to develop this technique, because she wasn't catching anything. And I remember googling it and people go, oh, once they go blind in one eye, that's it, they're dead. And I just want to show you that if your gecko's eye is deteriorating, there are ways around it that you can try to help it. See, her aim is not actually exactly where the cricket is, but she got it. She's like making this technique look rubbish, like, I don't need no technique, but she normally does, okay? she's playing up the cameras, you can tell. You can hold its body down without squishing it, because when I first used tweezers for crickets, when I first got Gizmo, I used to either, their legs would drop off or I'd squish their body. So with this way, you just press it down a little bit and they can't move. But with tweezers, they tend to squeeze it too much. You going for it? So you have to move it a little bit. Just getting excited. She's going to go for the rubber bit. Okay, so now we've gone into the phase of not being interested in food. I'm sure a lot of you are kind of aware of this, especially if you're looking at this because your gecko's not hunting properly. In this kind of situation, she's eaten 6. I'm pretty happy with that. She knows when she's done, she knows when she doesn't want any more, and I'm fine with that. 6 is a good amount. It'd be better if it was 8, but I'm happy with that. She's done with her feeding, so we'll call it a day. I don't tend to leave any crickets in with her just because she can get stressed out very easily. She can't always see, so she can't always catch them, and then you might see her in the cold hide or something, because crickets like to be warm and they go over the heat mat and they bite her. So if you have a gecko like this, don't leave crickets in with them because they'll just harass your gecko. So I hope this has helped. Remember, use something, a target that you don't mind getting attacked every now and again. A big bright target and something that won't damage your gecko. I hope this has helped, guys, and thank you very much for watching.